Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for my client Isaac's vlog. And today his week was lighter. He ran the week that he was supposed to run last week as far as more conservative training maxes. And he noted, he's like, yeah, some of the stuff felt a little bit heavy, and he took longer to get his week done because, he's been cutting. He's like 7-8 pounds into his cut, going a little fast. He's like 7 or 8 pounds into his cut, and then he did true maxes last week outside of my scheduled programming. Now he's fatigued, and it's like, why are you hitting true maxes in a cut? No one cares what you can max in a deficit. You're not going to step on a powerlifting platform in a deficit. You're going to eat first, right? You're going to carb up the day before. So, what are you doing? And now he's a bit fatigued, and he said, yeah, the 365 felt a little tough, and it did look a little tough. He barely got depth. It's not as deep as his rep work here. And this is, kind of the stuff that we have to talk about with a lot of my lifters. And this is what I talk about with male lifters and ego, right? Male lifters and ego. Although, as I'm watching his squats there, I'd really like to see that stance come out a little bit, right? More muscle, more weight. And look at the amount of knee slide he had there, right? That forward travel of the knee tells me that we do need to work on getting that stance back out a little more, because I can't see a stance width from this angle, but that knee slide, it's a lot of it. Now, good mornings. He hasn't really been doing good mornings, so I think a lot of you can see the obvious problem here. Back is rounding, right? Back is not an extension, chest is not up. Seeing rounding of the low back, rounding of the upper back. And here's the thing that we have to remember with good mornings, guys. Your range of motion is determined by your hips versus your stance. We want to put that back in extension. A rounded back good morning is a very specific exercise. That's not what I prescribe to him. So what he needs to work on here is going to be to keep that chest up, to keep that back in extension, and do not chase additional range of motion beyond what the hips allow you to do. If you want to get deeper, push your hips back more. Don't round your back, trying to get the bar itself lower, because that's not what we're doing. If we're trying to get deeper, it's because we want to get more muscle activation in the hamstring and hips, right? Now, he got a good 305 pause bench, right? And so what are we doing for supplemental work for all this stuff? His squat day right now, we're just doing back off squats. We're doing good mornings, right? Very, very basic stuff. We come over to his bench day. What do we have? We got some, after we bench, we do flat benching. Although, look at that wrist angle. All right, we gotta work on that a little bit. That rep work, that wrist is cocked back a little bit. But, we do sets of 10 on flat bench, pause. I have him do incline, and I want it all paused. And he is good here. He's pausing. But we need to work on that wrist stacking a little bit. Right? You guys can see that wrist bent back. Right? We need to watch for that. It's not ideal from a leverage perspective. It's not ideal from a shoulder health perspective. So it's stuff that needs to be addressed over time. Stuff that needs to be addressed over time. And it's easy enough to address. But the incline work here lets us continue to build his chest. We get more chest volume than we were getting before, while still working those front delts and everything that he's really strong at with the overhead press. Now, as we can see, as he's losing body fat, we can tell that he's definitely put on muscle on this bulk. He's put on muscle on this program. Right? He's starting to look bigger, but it's because he's losing body fat. He's definitely not gaining muscle now, guys. And that's just the body fat loss. Right? It makes people look bigger. So we do incline, then we do pull-ups, we do curls, and then I have him do dumbbell extensions. Now, a lot of people don't like the way that he does the cheat curls. I've seen some arguments. The research doesn't tell us that this is bad, right? If people want a cheat curl, it seems to activate the biceps just as much as strict curls, as long as we're getting full range of motion. It's just that you're using more weight, 6 one way, half a dozen the other. And I did see some people comment in his vlog last time, well, that's not going to build muscle. It's like, well, he's got pretty good size arms. You sure? This is how he's always curled. Now, would I personally rather see it stricter than this with the deadlifting we're doing? Probably, because of the fatigue on it. Now, the point that will be made, I'd like to see, make sure he's getting a full elbow bend He's almost not getting it, but he is getting it with these pullover type tricep extensions. And I prefer if a lot of my lifters do extensions like this laying, and the reason, whether we're using an easy bar, whether we're using dumbbells, whatever, it's because we can actually work the long head. We can work all the functions of the tricep. And that's the idea, more tricep activation. Because otherwise we would just close grip bench. If we're not going to try to work the triceps in a way that the bench doesn't hypertrophy, we just close grip bench. Now, that bar roll, I got onto him about the bar roll. That's something we need to work on. We can't have that. Because this is his ramp up. It's teaching him to get ready. So it's practicing bad form. And people say, well, Eddie Hall barbell rolls. Eddie Hall wears a deadlift suit. A raw lifter should not roll the bar. But he did get a nice clean 435 there, easy enough. Then, of course, he does sets of 10 on the back off work. Right? We do sets of 10 on the back off work. I have him do more pull-ups. Right? We do more pull-ups. And we do glute ham raises. Do glute ham raises afterwards. Now, I may adjust some of his programming a little bit, since this is orc mode, to look a little closer to how kind of I'm doing these days. And you know, it might not be a bad idea to do that. We can look into that to where we do all the back work on deadlift day. All right, maybe even the bicep work, and then we stick to the chest day as a bench press day, and bench accessories might be what we do. Move the glute ham raises eventually to the squat day. But I'm splitting it up a little this way because I'm having him still do volume deadlifts, right? Because I don't want to have 2 hamstring days every week, really too much of it. We're kind of going that way with the, with the good mornings. But in this case, I don't mind so much us splitting and doing it this way a little bit for him now because he's more upper body dominant, right? His bench is better than his squat and deadlift, right? His upper body is slightly more developed than his lower, right? It's slightly more developed. So it's not a big deal for now, but eventually, if he needed a little more bench specialization, we might split it up the other way. But when I have a lifter like him who's a little more upper body dominant, because again, his benching, his overhead press, and all that exceeds his squatting abilities, right? It exceeds it. We can split it this way a little more to give a little bit more, focus on some of the lower body and posterior chain, because they are being hit a couple days a week. But eventually, for a more balanced lifter, we would want to spread them out a little bit better. All right, and then I'll show you guys his nice quality bench again this time. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.